can you give us a little bit of a percentage? Like how would you train? So like you said, at some point the Capto has to come off. If I do an hour putting session with people, I'll probably use Capto for about 20, 25 minutes to make baseline assessment, give them a feel of where they want to be, do a couple of drills, and then come back to Capto to check if those drills worked out. Talking about how much time should I spend on block practice, how much time on random, and how much time on performance?
So like I said, my blocked practice, the technical stuff would be, it is blocked, but it's 2 different blocks. So what I would be looking for is when they do these first 5 drills, working on the shaft lean and the wrist or whatever it is they're working on, is that data, are they getting that within 5 balls? If they're not managing to achieve good data within 5 balls, I might make that station 10 balls.
Exactly.
But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for them to do their 10 balls or their 5 balls, get data that they want, go away, come back, and be able to be then able to get that data quick. If it takes them another 10 balls and the last put was good, they're not learning. If it was 10 balls in the first set and then it was 10 balls in the second set, then they get there after 6, then they get there after 3, and then they're going away, coming back, and that first ball is correct. First ball is correct. And I'm reducing this station down to 1 or 2 balls. If that's the case, then we're gonna move away from that as quickly as possible. Yeah, and we're gonna go and do something a bit similar to what I said my assessment was. So we'll either build them a real tough challenge that has puts in it, but other tasks around the practice area. And I'm looking now when there's an outcome, when there's other tasks involved, when there's more space between each put, can they retain this data? And if they can, then we're going to go play 9 holes. I'm going to leave the Capto on. I'm going to get the data. I'm not going to instruct or give them anything. And I'm going to see now, is it transferring? So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you basically, you're painting the picture a little bit black and white maybe, but so for a beginner, if you would be working with a beginner, that block practice section would probably be a larger percentage of the total training time. Whereas with your more skilled players, you would probably see that block practice takes up less time of the total training time.
Yeah, this is what I say. I want blocked practice to understand, and remember, it's always 2 blocks. So even though it's blocked, it's very, very small blocks. Yeah, I want to see that they conceptually understand what it is that they can do, and that they can physically do it. You know, some people have wrist injuries or problems. Like if this player goes through, let's say station 1 was 10 balls and they go through it 6 times and they're not getting the data that they want, maybe their body doesn't allow them to put the club in that position, or maybe there's been a communication breakdown between me and them. So then what I would ask them to do, I'd ask them to talk out loud while they're doing it so I can hear their thoughts, because it could just be something conceptual. But once they've got the conceptual idea, and once they've got the data is happening faster and faster, I want them in a performance environment as soon as possible, because there's a misconception in golf that you've got to get your reps in and perfect it, and then you go to the performance environment. But the performance environment is going to do more teaching than anything, any words that leaves my mouth, than any data that comes from Capto. The amazing thing about Capto is you can take this device into the performance environment. So
exactly. And the beauty of well is what I think, what you mentioned, a real important thing. If you have a player who even after 5, 10 ball blocked sets and still doesn't get the concept, at least you have numbers to talk about, right? You know where the problem is going to be.
Yeah.
And it makes them, the concept becomes more clear to them, because they come up with a certain face angle or shaft angle or a club path or attack angle or whatever it is, and it makes your communication a lot better. And especially when we started talking about the retention and transfer, and I hope we can put that picture in there, edited. You have a really strong statement there in your book, stating something like it's only learning. A golfing skill can only be classed as learned when it's retained over a longer period of time and transferred into variable situations or multiple environments. I'm not sure what the words were, and that is the key to performance, right? I mean, I can talk hours about putting physics and putting technique and what kind of motions produces, what kind of the body produces, what kind of motions of the putter. But in the end, it's taking that skill to the course and producing good scores, right? And that's where that transfer and retention plays a very important part.
Yeah, I think when you do the before and after, that's valuable, right? That's feedback. Yep. So, hey, here's an image of your putting stroke before, and here's the data. Here's the image after, and here's the data. Yep. This is what we're moving towards. Now, it's not fixed. This person isn't a car that's just been to the mechanic or a computer that's just had something downloaded onto it. This is a human being that's going into a very, very complex, dynamic environments. So when people say, here's the before, here's the after, what a great coach I am, it's fixed. Well, that shows that they have some conceptual understanding of what they're trying to do. Now they've got to access that concept over long periods of time. That's the retention. And if they've learned it in just a blocked fashion, hitting 200, 300, 500 balls, that retention is going to be very, very low. That learning is going to degrade super fast. And then also, once they've started to retain it and you're seeing it as a coach, you have to heap the pressure on. Stress, outcomes, challenges, things that they're uncomfortable with. Because if they can access this data when they're uncomfortable, then when they have that putt that's for a win on the 18th, they're going to have mental representations of being successful. They're also going to be more likely to access the motor pattern that they desire rather than the older motor pattern. So it's changing a putting stroke is a long process with many steps.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And especially like, we're talking about this, right? But the beauty is there's not a lot of possibilities out there to test that performance and get data of what you are doing. It's really hard you have to bring your ball tracker and then place it behind every swing and record that each stroke. So with putting that makes it, with the Capto, makes it just a little bit easier. And one image that I would like to show in talking about this is the history chart in the Capto. Whether you do a block practice that you want to get feedback on after 10 strokes, or if you've done the on-course, to get a real easy image of how the player performed in a specific area that we were talking about. Let's talk, maybe we were working on club path. A lot of people talk about averages, but the averages is, I mean, if you do it 4 times wrong that way and 4 times wrong that way, then that might equal out to 0, right? So it's a lot more interesting to see what the player did. And you have that history chart that we can edit in, and then you can see what has the player done in the last 10 or 15 or 20 putts, especially if those putts were, like you said, turning on the heat, if those putts were played in a challenge or on the course where they were really stressed and really pressed towards outside their comfort zone, because I always like to say learning starts outside your comfort zone, not inside it. And then you can see right away, okay, this is where you are. So you were really stable, or you were going from one place to the other, or it was all above or all below 0. And that gives you a real clear image talking about the feedback again. So